Greetings, fellow conquerors, or should I say, members of the Resistance. Hello and welcome to XCOM 2. This is a video both announcing the new series for XCOM 2 that I plan on doing, as well as talking about which mods I'm going to be using for the series. That way it's just clear out in the open and everyone knows what I'm using. And it's going to be interesting because we're not sure if all these mods are going to work with Long War 2, which is the main cause for the series in the first place. So, first of all, as far as mods go, obviously we're going to be playing with Long War 2. It just came out today, and we're going to be playing with it. My internet, unfortunately, not fast enough to record and display in the same day, but you know, we'll get there. We'll get a video out. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the mods I'm going to use and what they do, and hopefully they still work with Long War 2. So let's see what we got. All right, first of all, we have the new countries mod. This is a cool mod that adds in countries that, well, that probably should be in the game in the first place. Larger countries like I don't even think Poland was in the main, like, the base game of XCOM 2 as a country where, like, you know, people can come from, not like on the campaign map, but like just like where a soldier, like what their nationality can be. I don't know if Polish was in the default game. Adds in a bunch of nations such as Hungary. Adds in a bunch of nations from the Balkans. Adds in you know, nations like I don't think Turkey was in the base game. It adds in some countries from the Middle East. It adds in some more South American countries. Just nations that probably should have been in the game but weren't. And so it's a pretty cool mod for that reason, because people might relate more to one character or another, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Next we have lifetime stats. This is a mod that tracks the overall stats of a soldier over their career, including what their hit percentages are, how many kills they've made, what their luck, quote unquote, is, based on the number of shots that they shouldn't have hit but did, and shots they should have hit but didn't, for example. And so that's what that mod does. It's pretty cool. Next we've got the Gotcha Flank Preview Evolved. By the way, as a quick note, I want to play with disable timers. Unfortunately, I don't think that this works with Long War 2, because this changes all the basic missions in the game, which basically no longer exist because of the way Long War 2 works, as far as I understand it. I might try it at a later point. Maybe somebody in the comment section of this video can tell me whether or not disable timers still works, but I doubt that it does, and I doubt that the mod creator has uploaded a new version of it by now. So, as much as I want to play this because I don't like playing XCOM 2 with timers, we're going to play XCOM 2 with timers. Alright, so the next mod we're going to definitely be playing with is Gotcha Flank Preview Evolved. This is a great mod that tells you when moving to a certain square is or is not going to be a flank, which is very good considering that XCOM 2 is mostly an isometric game, and it can be hard to see when something is or isn't going to be a flanking shot, which is really important to the strategy of the game. Most of the time it's reliable. Sometimes it's not. But most of the like 90% of the time it works. Probably more than that if we're going with XCOM. We'll do 95% of the time it works. Since XCOM 2's numbers are, Mr. 90%. Anyway, so next we've got Reliable Smoke. Basically in the base game of XCOM 2, smoke was not very stable in the way that it deployed, and so this mod basically fixes it and makes sure that it actually hits all the squares that it says it's going to hit when you throw the smoke. Next is Stabilize Me. This is a great mod that if somebody's holding a med kit, and they're the only person holding a med kit, and they go unconscious, you can go over to their body and use their med kit to stabilize them, which is very useful, as you might imagine, if your your support goes down. Oh, God, what are they called in this game? I can't remember off the top of my head. The support class, you know what I'm talking about. The specialist, that's what it was. Yes, all very generic names, of course. Alright, next we've got EU aim rules. This is a really important mod. I don't know if it works with Long War 2, but let me describe this mod briefly and what it does. So, in the base game of XCOM 2, how it works is the roll to hit and the roll to get a critical are the same roll. So, say for example, you only have a 30% chance to hit. If your chance to get a crit is also 30%, that means that if you do hit that 30% shot, it is going to be a crit. So it's not saying that it's a 30% crit chance, it's saying that, like, if I roll a 30 on this scale of 100, you will get a critical. And it's the same roll as the actual is the actual, like, to hit roll, which is really stupid in my opinion. Critical hit chances should be lower. So this lowers crit chances, basically, both for you and the aliens. It makes it work as it's supposed to, which is you roll a hit chance first. If you hit, then you roll a separate roll for a critical, which is really important. And if you made it to this point in the video and wonder what I'm talking about, XCOM 2 is a tactical squad-based isometric shooter, basically. It's turn-based, and if you don't know what it is, you'll learn pretty quickly in the actual first video. And you should probably just wait for that, since the mods won't be that relevant to you anyway. Better shield wall. So there is an item in the late game of XCOM 2, a certain type of I think it's Warden armor or something. No, Warden armor is the base armor. It's the war suit, I think. Lets you project a shield that gives heavy cover on both sides. Unfortunately, this does not give heavy cover to the person deploying the shield, meaning that they have to be in heavy cover themselves in order to utilize this bonus. What this does is when they activate it, if they're out in the open, they also get the heavy cover bonus, which is nice. Two mods I like are the More Maps pack and the World Expansion Project Advent map pack. But I don't know if these work with Long War 2, and so I'm turning them off for safety's sake. Again, if you know if they work or not within the mod, let me know in the comments, and I will be sure to enable it. Heavy weapons tweaks. So some of the heavy weapons kind of sucked. Basically, this rebalances some of the heavy weapons that weren't very good, such as flamethrowers and plasma blasters. It makes it so that the only one you don't use is like the rocket launcher and the shredder. Makes them more viable, which to me is good. It's a good thing. Since it's a random roll, what item you get, it's good to me for that reason. Next we get suppressible targeting abilities. So there's nothing more frustrating than having a, in the base game Grenadier or in Long War a gunner, suppress a target only to have it throw a grenade halfway across the map. What this mod does is it reduces the range of abilities such as grenades when a target is suppressed, meaning that it is harder for them to break the suppression just by throwing a grenade or something. They can still throw it within close range, but it's not going to work. I have, as you can see, a lot of the other Long War things. Next we have Captain Bub's Accessories Pack. This is a really nice cosmetic mod that adds in the ability to wear like Kevlar helmets, like a field cap and a headset, stuff that looks more akin to real life and more logical than some of the XCOM 2 outfits. And I really like it. I think it's a good cosmetic mod. Very simple, doesn't break anything, so it's good. Next we have additional icons. This is a catch-all mod that shows things like mobility, it shows health, it shows hit chance, I think. Like it shows aim above your soldiers' heads. It also shows the health of enemy soldiers, which is quite good, considering this is a strategic game, like a tactical game. So knowing all that information is very important, especially because in the base game it didn't tell you how many bars of health an enemy had. Exactly, it just showed the bars of health, but with no actual numerical representation, which was pretty painful. Next is a mod I really like for the base game, Scaling Protect Device. I don't have it turned on for Long War because I don't know if it works with Long War. Again, if you use this mod and you want to tell me, by all means. I like this mod because basically there's a Protect Device mission where you have a device that starts out with 36 hit points, and in the base game I think it's 42. So in the early missions it would take forever for Advent to kill it, but in the late game 42 hit points isn't very much when they hit it every round, and so you would go from like having about 12 turns to save the device to having about 3 turns at the very late game, basically making this mission impossible in the late game. So this gives the device less health in the early game to make it still the same amount of threat, and then in the late game it gives it much more health, I think going up to 72 in the late game to give you more time to deal with that. Next is a good mod for those of you who hate Bradford. It's Quiet Bradford. It disables a lot of Bradford's dialogue lines except for the essentials. Instant Avenger menus. This mod is nice, but it also can break your game, so whatever. I do want to discuss these two mods, even though I'm not using them. So, CV Weapon Pack version 2 and the art assets. You need the art assets to work the mod. This adds in conventional weapons, hence CV Weapon. So things such as AK-47s, M16s, MP5s, P90s, a lot of tactical assault rifle type firearms, as well as things like the M249 SAW, the M60. I think it also adds in the RPK. It also adds in a Dragunov sniper rifle and the L1A1 Arctic Warfare. Adds in just a bunch of real-life weapons, and it's configurable to work in different ways. The way it works in vanilla, each weapon is its own upgrade, so when you unlock magnetic weapons, you can upgrade the conventional weapon to magnetic. However, each weapon has an individual upgrade, which is terrible. So there's actually, in the mod description of CV Weapon Pack V2, just the base mod, there is a file you can download and replace that allows that when you upgrade to magnetic weapons, all of the conventional weapons get upgraded to Tier 2 as well. I liked it a lot at first, but then I started to feel weird when I would use conventional firearms and my troops had power armor, so it's up to you. A lot of people really like conventional weapons. I know I do for the early game at least. But yeah, it's just good. Next is mod everything and mod config menu. This is a mod that lets you use other mods, basically, these two. So those are pretty good for that reason. Next we get Suppression Plus. I actually forget what this mod does. So this makes it so that suppression does not incur the normal Overwatch penalty. So basically when you suppress a target and the target tries to move, you get a free Overwatch shot on that target, and as a result, you take an aim penalty in the base game. This gets rid of that aim penalty so that suppression is much more of an important mechanic. Which I think is especially relevant in Long War, where gunners are going to be an actual class. Next we get It's Just a Scratch, version 2. I don't know if this works with Long War, it probably does. So basically your soldiers have a base amount of health, and they have an amount of health they get from armor. And unfortunately, in the vanilla game, what would happen is you would get injured, you'd take 2 damage of health, right? But you're wearing the best armor in the game. And so, despite only taking 2 damage, and which is a very minor wound, you still ended up with a week or more in the infirmary, especially on the higher difficulties, which to me was just silly, given that it was 2 points of damage. It's nothing at that point in the game when your soldiers have 14, 15 hit points. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's definitely not something to oh, I'm gonna be out for the next month. So, alright, next is Jay Sleazy's Repurposed Gear. This is a cosmetic mod that I'm not using, but it is a decent one. And what it does, more or less, is it just adds in more cosmetic options, similar to Captain Bub's accessories. Adds in more face options, some of which don't really make sense. One of them is an Advent head. You can actually change a soldier's head to look more like an Advent soldier, make him look like an Advent rogue, basically. And this goes in conjunction with another mod that I used at one point, but don't use anymore, and so I didn't really see much purpose for the this mod. But next we have Dragon's Wilderness PCPs. Which is not a drug. It is a plot cover parcel, and basically this just adds in more things like hay and carts and random wilderness objects to put in the game. I should probably actually enable this, by the way. Next I have a Company of Heroes U.S. Army Voices, just for fun. I don't have it enabled, but it is there if you are into that mod. Next is Stench Fury's Modular Armors. This adds in more options for the power armor appearance in the late game, though you can access the modular armors at any point in the game. Next is one of my favorite mods, Grimey's Loot mod, and this is a mod for which you will need the mod everything and mod config menu for. And this basically adds in a Diablo-style loot system to the game, where you can get these loot boxes that come with, guns with different modifications on them and special abilities. Adds in more weapon mods into the game, apart from the 3 or 4 that were in the base game. So it just adds in a lot of depth in that. I believe it works with Long War 2, because I've played the opening mission for Long War 2 and then nothing else. And I got, in that mission, a drop box. So I think that this still works with Long War 2, and I'm excited for it because it is a very cool mod that adds in a lot of variance to the game and a lot of different choices and things of that nature. Next is the music modding system and the XCOM Enemy Unknown soundtrack. So obviously you need this mod to add in music to the game that isn't part of the base game, and then this mod adds in the soundtrack from Enemy Unknown, which I like that soundtrack. If you don't, then obviously this isn't going to be for you, but I'm going to have it enabled because I do like some of the tracks from Enemy Unknown, just because they're more tense. And then lastly, of course, we have Long War 2. And I don't know all the specifics of Long War 2 yet. As I've said, I've only played the first game. I've avoided coverage of it because I want to go in blind for this Let's Play. And from what I understand, it adds in the 4 classes from the Long War perk pack, as well as the rebalances to the base classes that I'm already familiar with, as well as a massive change to the campaign map, which was in sore need of changes, or maybe not in sore need, but it adds in those changes, and more importantly, it also extends the campaign, which was a problem for me because you could beat XCOM 2's campaign in about 40 hours if you were quick enough. And because of how shallow the game was, I didn't feel like there was a lot of replayability at that point, even though XCOM 2 is a competent game once you fix it with, mods, basically. So, hope you guys are excited for this. Just going over the mods that I plan on using for this and why. If you have any mods you want to suggest to me before I play this, or as I've said with some of the other mods, the ones I'm not sure if they work or not, again, let me know, and I will try to enable them, either before I start recording or a couple episodes in. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this series. I hope you'll join me in for what is sure to be a adventure. And hopefully we can beat back the aliens in Long War. We might fail horribly, but you know what? If that's the case, so be it. At the very least, I think we're gonna have a great time. Until then, Godspeed.